Alright, what's up y'all? This is the commentated version of my 5111 Gunple Gunman's Proof speedrun. Any percent category. Too lazy to make a tutorial, so this is what I'll do to try and explain all the new stuff that I came up with, either before or after. The new trick that was found last week allows us to skip the first dungeon, so obviously it's the first thing I'll go over. So the cool thing about the new trick is that you used to need to farm a gold coin before Dungeon 5 right after you do the glitch, and that's not necessary anymore. Although the gold coin had a pretty high chance of dropping, it was still pretty annoying. It was a big time loss if you did not get it, and even if you did get it, if it wasn't on the first couple of tries, you were losing time. So that's one of the benefits of skipping the first dungeon. The trick is not too hard. It is a one frame, but considering you get a lot of tries, you can kind of buffer it. It takes a bit of practice, but it's not too hard to set up. Yeah, pretty much any method of entering the glitch state is one frame input, just the same as when we do it for the warp. So yeah, what's cool is I found a bunch of ways to enter that state. So I don't know how many of them were known before, but we only used the taking damage method in the run, but you can also do it by entering houses or pretty much any transition. Well, not screen transitions, like on the edges. That doesn't work. But you can enter houses and press select on the same frame as the trigger for entering. You can also fall into water and press select on the same frame. Start won't work like it usually does if you do it with the taking damage method. It's faster if you can use start, because select, if you miss it, you pull up the map. Even if you set it up using the house method, like entering houses in town, and press select on the same frame, it'll open up the map, but will still set the glitch up. If you do it in the water, it won't pull the map up. So the method we'll be using in the run is using the water, since you want to go across the water anyways. But if you wanted to play it safe, you could use the house method. So now we used to go and speak to our parents and then to the girl. Now we can just completely skip that and go straight to the beach. There I got it, first try. It's kind of lucky. You just run up to it and kind of pray that you hit the frame. So then what I do is I hold down right into the water, and then take like 2 of those damage animations and then switch to up left, and I make it all the way across this way. Don't ask me why those particular directions give us like make us walk either down or to the left, because it makes no sense. You're pressing the opposite directions, but I don't know, that's just how the glitch works. It took me a lot to figure out how to move in the direction you need it to. But basically what's important is that you use diagonals, because when you got the glitch stored, oh by the way, that's bad movement, I forgot I was supposed to go this way. So yeah, when you got the glitch stored, you can't move in diagonals. That's why you might have noticed when I got out of the water after the glitch, I could only move cardinally. Well, I was only moving cardinally, that was the reason. So I can't actually move in diagonal. You can hold a diagonal, but it will only move you cardinally. And that's kind of why the glitch works, because it doesn't like interpret it properly when you do that in the water. It's weird. So here we just go straight to dungeon 2 as normal. I hope I don't forget to mention too many things, since sometimes I get stuck in my stories and things are actually happening. Like there was one thing in the overworld that I kind of could have mentioned, but it's not that hard. I won't bother with it. Here I decided to wait that out, since you are taking 1 full life of damage doing the glitch, so you do come here with a little bit of a health deficit. And there I did a different boost than what we used to do. We used to run straight into the spikes. It's a little bit faster to turn around into the spikes. That wasn't a great fight. Usually you'd want to like diagonal down left the last couple shots so you can go closer to the door, also avoid the projectiles. So that was kind of a bad example for that room. This fight, my strategy is just to stay in the middle until the flames get close, and then move to the right and then a little bit up to bait the flames up. And for some reason, if you sit there on the right tile, usually the flames will never get to you. It has happened a couple times that they did reach me anyways, but I've been using this strategy a lot and it's been pretty safe. So that was a 3-cycle fight. If you got a good fire rate, you should be able to get that pattern, end on that cycle. Sometimes you just get like an extra half cycle. If you're lucky, you can sometimes kill it while it's doing the mimic phase. That's if it's got only one hit left. I guess it's unlucky because you probably should have killed it on the phase before, but you don't have to deal with the other phase, which is a lot longer. So yeah, since and that's actually one thing I haven't tested. Probably should have. Not that it matters, but can you just just do the skip at the beginning and then re-enter town right away. I'm not sure if you can, but all I know is that after you beat Dungeon 2, you can go back to town, and the two NPCs that are blocking the road, or the exits to town, they moved out of the way, so it's very convenient. Otherwise the trick wouldn't work. So here we go back to town. Go and collect the bounty. And the money route lines up real nice. Pretty sure this is the best way to go about getting your money for all the items you need. And Dungeon 5, of course. So here you get 400 instead of 200 that you normally got if you did a Dungeon 1 and then got the bounty. So since you got an extra 200, that's what allows you to skip the gold coin later. And here another difference from the other route, if that's what you're used to, is you used to have 2 gun upgrades that were available, now you got 3 at the gun store, so technically a little bit slower here. But we actually kind of considered for a little bit making bazooka, which is a 3rd item, worth getting, but definitely not worth it. Did deal a good amount of damage, but it was just pretty slow. Yeah, I get the Uzi here. I think that's faster. If you can react fast enough, or maybe play it safe and like chill close to the drop. There I was not expecting it to drop, so I was moving away, but I kind of reacted fast enough to, I think, make it worth it. There's a lot of strategies, but it really just depends on how much you're willing to risk. So there's a few ways you can get the Uzi that are like more in the way. Not a few ways, but in that second room, Dungeon 3. So here I missed the first punch because I wasn't point blank on the rock. That's one thing that's sort of weird about the big punch, is if you're punching a rock that's below you, you can not have any pixels between the rock and your sprite. So you need to be point blank up towards it. Whereas any other orientation that you punch in to break an object, break rocks, you can have a good amount of distance. As you saw with the second big punch, I was like almost a whole character sprite away from it. So here's normally where you farm the Uzi. I get the luxury of just walking past it, and here's where I got some pretty cool bomb luck. So that 4th room with the dragon coming out of the floor, that strategy is pretty fast and not too hard. The armadillo room also, I think, is pretty safe the way I do it. It's very fast. There's a pretty ridiculous trick here that can save frames, but you need to store the glitch off one of the snakes and have it boost you to the left of the rail. It's not impossible, but it's very dumb to do in a run. Some of the shots missed there, But usually if you move down enough, you can get a nice angled shot and kill that guy really quick. And I got the lucky Uzi there. You really want that drop. It's preferable for it to drop from that guy than from the guy in the left corner. And here's the jackpot room. That's pretty sick. So here I'm fully stocked up. I can do the proper boss fight. I always take a little step to the left, but well, you kind of want to do that because he starts moving before you kill him. And there you go. There's a lot of ways you can throw those bombs and have it blow the head up in one cycle. It's not free, but it's not too hard either. So, if you haven't seen the run before, you're wondering why I'm taking so much damage, and actually dying, well, you'll see after this. I'll be doing a death warp to get back to town. But also, I do want to end the stages on the least amount of health possible, and that's because, as you can see right here on the score screen, your health counts down. Like that. So the more health you got, the longer the countdown. That's an important detail, but unless it's free, like in the first two bosses, I would say, maybe not something you want to worry about too much at the beginning, but definitely something that should be taken into account if you're going for a good time. Because there's a lot of things that are still up to luck, like the carrots at the end. I didn't mention also there was a carrot that I could have gotten at the beginning. It only saved like 5 seconds, but if you go back and watch the beginning, right after I jump off the little cliff, the ledge, transition the screen, then I kill two guys. Those two guys can drop a carrot, so that's why I kill them. It makes that route only 5 seconds faster. So what I did just there is get the cross. You want to be careful when you do the movement right after the save and quit, so that you don't touch the kids. Oof, that didn't sound good. Because if you touch them, they go into the dialogue right away. You don't have to press a button for them to speak, so you'll lose time just by touching them. So one thing I did when I spoke to the ghost is I spoke to him low and then I moved up. That's honestly like probably just a couple frames, because one thing about the movement is that diagonal movement is really fast. So if you entered the next room and just held a diagonal, the way the room was laid out, you weren't actually losing much. But it's just that little thing that everybody does, and there's no reason not to. So here we enter Ghost Town. We want to set up the skip, so we press pause on the same frame as we take the hit, and then we move down, pull up the map with select, then we hold left, and these guys we used to have to farm. Now you can just move all the way to the chest, not worry about them at all. So that's pretty cool. I know my man Shadows is hyped about that. Shoutouts to Shadows, aka 0J. So this movement obviously got tagged at the end. That's not what I wanted to. Technically, you can. When I did that like 90-degree turn at the top of the room, sometimes the guy doesn't move to the left, and you can just walk down straight and then actually take a forward boost off the last guy in the room. So maybe I'll make a tape for that specific room eventually. Because there's a lot of this dungeon is a lot of trying to route in some damage so that you don't need to take too much damage on the last boss. So it's actually pretty cool to come up with all these strategies to try and get boosted forward, like take damage but not slow down. So in this room just before, I was just holding up, and by doing that you get boosted forward 100% of the time. Just hold up, and then on the way back, the guy basically doesn't spot you. So I got both of the boosts on this guy. It's actually really rare that I get both in a run, so that's kind of cool that I got to demonstrate that. Those boosts are particularly hard, I think. So you gotta do like a whole half circle motion on the D-pad. But they look really cool, I think. And they're worth it since they're a whole HP worth of damage compared to the crabs that are half HP. And these guys also, like, that was kind of freestyle. And I'm actually really lucky that I got that one to boost me in the right direction, because I feel like that was really, really tight. Those guys also give you a whole HP of damage. Well, this is a really good run to demonstrate the damage route for this dungeon. But then I was like kind of overexcited by how well I was doing all these boosts, and I attempt 2 more, I think, in the next room. I probably shouldn't have, because they were a lot sloppier. Like that one, it's okay. That one doesn't feel like it was worth it, especially since I was at 2 HP, and this next boss will deal 2 HP worth of damage with the hammers, which is first phase. So I would have died in one shot anyways, which is what I want. But I still have to take a whole extra life of damage, so that's why it was important to route in. Oh, hold on. Yeah, no, I'm good. I took a death. Now I'm taking the second one, and that's all I need. So here you can, not a good demo of that, but normally you can blow up the arm, and as it blows up, it's still got a lingering hitbox that you can run into to take that death if that's where you're at, and that's what you need. I kind of tried to do it on the second arm, but I was a little bit too slow. You gotta react pretty fast, but as long as it's like still blowing up, it still kind of has a hitbox. So this trick, I shot the bomb pretty much on reaction to when he first shoots. It has to be really tight. If you got good reactions, you can go for that cue. Otherwise, I'd suggest you kind of just learn the timing, which is not too hard. You can pretty much base it off his movement, since he's going to shoot every time at the same part of when he moves. And another important part was lining up for the bomb, since it is a pretty precise position to do it. You want, well, the cue that I use is I line up my gun boy, his left leg with the right part of the door sill, the door that is at the bottom, so I can line it up pretty easily with his left leg. So if you go back and look at that, you'll probably spot it easily. And as long as his leg is within that general area, usually you're fine. So here we enter back, and the reason why we took out those deaths and HP again is we didn't end the boss with low HP, but it's pretty hard to make it worth it to take damage and get that low score screen, that fast score screen. But make it worth it, because you're losing a lot of time by taking damage. So anyways, like, you don't want to necessarily bother with beating that particular boss with low HP, in my opinion. Unless you're a god and you can just route so much damage in. So here we go and collect the bounty, which is a pretty big one. It's 1400. We won't need that much. Matter of fact, I really wonder why the devs decided to give us this much money. I have no clue what you're supposed to buy with that. So I assume, like, if you went back after... No, never mind. That is the last bounty. What can you buy with that much money? Anyways, go get the smoker, and this is the fun part. Oops, stepped on the line. You don't want to step on the lines. And there I get some lag. Well, actually, it's not lag. I just hit the corner like an idiot. But obviously, those two things you don't want to do. But yeah, that part is kind of hard for anyone who hasn't looked at the input display. What you're supposed to do is hold B and mash A pretty much as fast as you can. So that's kind of uncomfortable. You need to either come up with some clever grip or claw grip. I choose the claw grip. So mashing with your index kinda sucks, and you get tired. That wasn't bad. There, you wanna take advantage of that puddle. Oops. Diagonal into the corner. Don't do that. Yeah, so there's still some slop on this run. Both in the execution, definitely got some bad luck a little later as well. So here we get the uppercut. And after you get the uppercut, don't forget to use it. You can kind of, since you go by that same area in the beginning of the run, and you just move right by the waterfall. If you're not paying attention, if you're not focused, you might just do the same movement there and forget completely that you're supposed to go up the waterfall, get the bandana. Yeah, the bandana. Bandana is really important since it doubles your damage. Something like that levels up your damage. Ooh, I spoke to him real far. If you can get like a pixel of floor between the tent and your hat, that's badass. That's some social distancing. So you don't need to enter that screen that high. I guess you can, but as soon as you get around the corner, you can start going up against the ledge, like holding up left. And the way the ledges work in this game is, I think it's similar to Legend of Zelda, but I can't quite remember. If you hold the diagonal into it, and the surface is like long enough that you can just move along it, and it's hard to explain, but like the timer for dropping off a ledge starts counting as soon as you run up to it. Man, that's so much harder to explain than it needs to be. Just watch the tape and you'll understand. Meanwhile, I missed mentioning something, but here you want to enter the store with the gun out. It's a little faster. Any combat room. That's one thing I didn't mention, since there's so few combat rooms, but I guess it doesn't really matter for every combat room, but any combat room where you got some action like right out the door, you wanna have your gun out preemptively, like I failed to do right here. I forgot about this room, and see what happens. Kind of messes up your timing for the first shots. Here I remembered. Don't do the same mistake twice. But yeah, that's actually a good example. You always want the gun out. It's just so much easier. And here you want to be careful to kill those guys late, because in case they drop an Uzi, and you don't want to get stuck with the Uzi. Not for this fight. Yeah, what I was forgetting to mention is some strategy for the overworld, but again, it's like a really tricky room, and I feel like I should probably make a video for that exclusively. But here's Sally and Mary fight. It's not a hard fight. You can just kind of juke her, shots like that, and then as soon as you kill her, you move into the corner, you shoot diagonal, and then you'll get some free quick hits on the second phase, and you get a really quick kill off of that. Yeah, the way she moves is like, if you kind of inch forward a little bit, as you saw there, you can get so many shots on her before she starts doing anything. So that was a pretty decent segment. This win could have been a little bit faster. That one combat room that I messed up was a little time loss, but other than that, that was a pretty good dungeon. Also got bodied in the overall. So this is a new strat here, where I just punch into the left wall. It could probably work on the right wall as well, and it alerts the two guys that are closest. Then if you just tap down, don't hold down or else you'll move down the stairs and get hit, but if you just tap down, you can shoot them from there. The inconvenience from that is that you can't avoid grabbing an Uzi if that's what drops, so that definitely can happen. So I can't say I fully recommend that strat, but it's not a bad strat, I'm pretty sure. I take that gamble. So there, I was lucky to get Roboton. If you don't get Roboton, you're looking at, I think, over 10 seconds. Which is not necessarily dramatic, but it's unfortunate. So here you want to hold down, or at least just not forget. So like all the dialogues now are more or less short. Now not all of them for sure, but like this is one of the longer ones, and the one after the dungeon is still the longest one. It's like almost 2 minutes, I think. Maybe not, but so yeah, doing the skip skips the first 2 dialogues. It skips Roboton afterwards, which is 2 dialogues as well. One of them is pretty short. Yeah, this skip is a pretty big discovery if you ask me. I'm guessing more or less equivalent to the first skip that was found for Ghost Town. Well, here you can really tell my audio is on mono. Or not mono, but it's only got one of the 2 wires working. So that song's not supposed to sound like that. Dang, that sounds so bad. That sounded terrible. So here you want to hope for a carrot, and you get 3 tries. I did not get a carrot. In this case, not getting a carrot is not as bad as the first one. I think it only loses 6 seconds. I could be wrong, because it does look longer, but when I timed it, it was around 6 seconds. There was a way to avoid the womp that I took damage from, and kind of slowed me down. In that case, I went to the right of the pillar. Usually I go to the left of it. I don't know why I decided to go to the right, but it's the type of thing that I wonder I should probably try in time, but it's too hard to time manually. I need to tacit actually know the amount of frames. So there's one room I should have mentioned. The room with the spark that moves from right to left, and you're kind of doing a U-shape movement. You can beat that spark, but if someone finds out how, well, it might not be too hard, because I'll admit I didn't put too much time trying to find that out, but as far as I know, beating the spark would be faster. Damn, I'm a slob. I should have. There's a lot of things that are still left to figure out, so I encourage people to try things. But this is one of the major time saves that I found at the when I picked the game up. So I accidentally killed the phase 4 with only 1 bomb, so that's what we're gonna see. And that changes a good amount, because not only is it faster to kill this guy with 1 bomb, but it's also allowing us to use an extra bomb on the final boss. We'll talk about that later. Another strategy that I had just come up before this run, and that helped a lot, getting some fast phase kills for the first 3 phases, was just a like a positioning trick. So you set up right there, and then you move towards him right as he becomes vulnerable. So you need to learn the timing of when he becomes vulnerable. Each phase has a little slightly different timing. And then of course you still need to kind of practice moving to the rhythm of his movement. It's a really fun fight to learn and practice, but that was a pretty good example of like how fast it can be. And there, there's like this one vertical line. There's actually two of them, but they go from the top to the bottom. Vertical lines in the tile patterns. So I look at that vertical line on the left, and then try and align my hat right inside the square that's at the top of that line, just to the right of it. So again, if you just go back and look at that, this is just one of those more tighter boss tricks. I feel like I should probably make a video with only bosses, since a lot of them have tricky strategies, and then I can just pause the video and explain it better. Hopefully. Explaining things is hard sometimes. Yeah, that was a really good Baron fight. It's a really good segment overall. I lost some time because of the missed carrot, the second carrot. And here is the longest scene in the run. Yeah, a separate video with only the bosses sounds like a good idea. There's not that much I want to say about them, but like the positioning is precise, but I also kind of want to do some testing anyways to see exactly how precise it is, so to kind of allow people to have different cues maybe that they like, they can look for, and that they all work. Here's the China bomb. I wonder if anyone's ever like forgotten to get it. I don't even know what happens if you don't have the China bomb and try and speak to this guy. I'm guessing I don't think they'll let you get to the HQ because I don't think you can come back. And you need the China bomb for the story, as far as I know. So speaking to the guy allows you to warp to the headquarters if you get Roboton. Third try. Third try is not bad at all. Like, man, this run didn't lose more than like not even 20 seconds to luck, I think. At most like 22, 23 seconds. So yeah, just one thing that's super important about this game that probably should have mentioned right off the start is one of the things that'll really help you get a better time is maintaining or just having a good fire rate, just timing the shots properly. Like, it's so hard. There's a lot of strategies that basically depend on it, like what we're gonna see here. If you don't have a good fire rate, you won't get that animation cycle skill. And another thing that really helped in that fight, and similar to what I did in the Baron fight, is run up towards him as I'm shooting. You can get so many more bullets, not so many more, maybe 1 or 2 more bullets in, and it makes that fight a lot more lenient. So, really good way to... Oops. Yeah, I honestly, I was reading chat and I thought I had missed the door. I don't know why I was reading chat. Yeah, having a really good fire rate is so important that at any time in the run that I have some like free time, I can just kind of shoot. I take that time to just make sure my timing is tight. It's honestly, it's, in my opinion, the hardest part of the run is just having a really tight fire rate the whole run. Oops, slipped up. Like, the bombs are hard. Take a bit of practice, but the gun is like, so there's a little bit of lag that could affect it, but generally it's really just a hard thing to just get the muscle memory down and be able to do while you're D-padding, holding R sometimes. I'm trying to go too fast and dropping some bullets. That fight was pretty sloppy. Well, only getting hit once is not the end of the world, but I dropped a lot of shots. I was probably a little nervous. Yeah, like by now I know that it's low 51. Kind of freaking out. Alright, final boss. So if you watch older runs, you'll see people using their bomb on the 3rd phase. And here you will see bombs used on phase 1 and 2 instead. It's basically, it's really tight, to be honest. So bomb on phase 3 is not necessarily a bad option, but from what I timed, it seemed to be around 4 or 5 seconds slower than doing it on phase 1, which was second slower, and then phase 2 is like 1 second faster than that. So what I do for phase 1 is I have my the middle of my sprite lined up with the left part of that thing at the bottom. And when I reach that spot, I do it while crouching, so it's at a specific timing, and then when I get there I crouch 2 more times. And then the second bomb I do more or less from that same spot, but then I just have to raw time it. So I was pretty lucky there to actually get it. It's not something that I get consistently at all. The first bomb is really consistent though, with that trick that I use. And here's phase 3, no bombs. So if you're lucky, if your fire rate is tight, you can kill it after the second spin. If you're a little looser, you can kill it after the third. And if you mess up too much, then he starts moving again. But there you go, 3 spins. And so that's, I guess, 1 cycle for the last phase. So yeah. So that was a really good, really good final boss. Getting the second phase 2 bomb on a run like this, it's pretty lucky. And again, still a good amount of time on the table, just in like RNG, but also definitely a good amount of execution mistakes, slop, and whatever. And I don't know, there could still be some more exploits, tricks, and skips that could be found using that glitch, because you can tell that glitch is hella powerful. I'm glad I managed to find something, some other tech that uses it. I was pretty confident there was something. I could have been very wrong and very sad. Yeah, now this song also sounds kind of crappy. That sucks. Yeah, it's straight up missing some notes. So yeah, it was a really nice run. It was a lot quicker getting to a low 51 than I expected. So now the goal is getting under 51. Also learning 100%. That category looks really fun. I'm also finding some stuff in there. I don't know what to close this out with. I guess if you got any questions, I'm uploading this to YouTube. You can comment in the comment sections. Keep an eye on that. If you wanna get in touch with the community, I'll leave a link to the Discord I don't know if that'll stay valid, or I'll have to edit it every couple months. Yeah, I don't know what else to say. Hope that this video was hope that you learned something that you wanted to know. It's a fun game. If I have anything else to say, is that I would recommend people picking up the speedrun. Super comfy. I don't think it takes too much to just pick up and be able to do runs in just a couple days. You can make up your own strategies for a lot of rooms. Generally, they are just very straightforward and you're just moving around, but I'm talking mostly like the combat. So yeah. Enjoy some Gunple. Peace out.